Governor of the Bank of Canada in Saskatoon what he told local business leaders about Canada's economic reality. From food to fork, the challenges of Canadian businesses to get their product to market. And learning to fight wildfires in city centres. Saskatchewan firefighters learn new techniques.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. The economy was front and center in Saskatoon today as Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem spoke to business leaders. As Keenan Sorokon reports, Macklem couldn't think of a better place to talk about major changes to the global trade.
Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem spent the first of 2 days in Saskatoon Tuesday highlighting the new economic world Canada faces and the role Saskatchewan can play within it.
The ramifications of a new relationship with the United States are immense. And one thing is clear. We cannot afford to wait this out.
Over his roughly 20-minute speech to business and political leaders during a luncheon, Macklem highlighted 4 mega trends in global economics and their implications. The slow of trading, the United States not dominating trade anymore, but still dominating financial flows, and the trade imbalances from America's deficit to the surplus situations in China and Europe.
There's some role for monetary policy to try to help the economy adjust to this new relationship, but our primary mandate is to make sure that Canadians don't need to worry about a big change in their cost of living.
Macklem says Saskatchewan can be an example moving forward, with exports being far less reliant on the United States than many other provinces.
Canada needs to do more of that. Canada needs to diversify its trade.
And the Premier says that's the backbone of the provincial economy.
If you don't work directly for an industry that is exporting a product somewhere else in the world, you're likely servicing people that are working in an exporting industry.
Macklem says removing trade barriers, recognizing labor standards, and getting more products east, west, and out of the country quicker are some examples of the change needed. But Macklem says Canada can't afford to drag its feet.
The more we can grow our markets, the more we can reduce the cost of business doing in the country, the more we can improve our productivity, that will generate more income. And if you have more income, everything becomes more affordable.
While Saskatchewan's economy is more resilient than others, Macklem warned if change doesn't happen quickly, Canada's long-term economic prosperity is at risk. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Hundreds of Canadian business owners in the food industry were in Saskatoon today sharing their startup stories and discussing challenges of getting their product to market. CTV's Laura Woodward on how they're trying to overcome the barriers.
From spicy dill pickle beef jerky to freeze-dried strawberries, food entrepreneurs from across Canada gathered in Saskatoon for the Food and Beverage Summit at Prairie Land Park, including Toronto's Emily O'Brien, the founder of Comeback Snacks.
Well, I started this company in the most unlikely of places, and that was federal prison.
While incarcerated for attempting to smuggle cocaine into Canada, O'Brien turned the popular prison snack of popcorn into a business. She joins hundreds of other Canadian entrepreneurs sharing stories, struggles, and strategies.
Forming new relationships, new collaborations, and seeing how creative you can get by working with others.
One of the big topics, distribution challenges and rising costs.
Packaging is going up, labels are going up, the cost of distribution is going up. Figuring out what cost increases we can absorb, what cost increases we are forced to pass on to the retailers and therefore the consumer, where we meet in the middle with that, and what the market will bear, and how do we still make a living with the cost of everything going up.
And despite inflationary pressures and cross-border trade barriers, this Saskatchewan business is seeing growing interest in buying local.
To support people like me and support farmers, producers, marketers in Saskatchewan and throughout Canada as well.
Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, Jeff, summer is still lingering, and it was a great day out there today.
It was a great day. It's not over yet, but a beautiful day in terms of warm temperatures, lots of sunshine, a little breezy at times, and it looks like tomorrow's going to be another windy day, but it's also going to be another warm day. Heck, some people might even call it hot, but right now there's a big high-pressure area that's staying in place. Any precipitation looks like it's going to be staying up in northern Saskatchewan, so central and southern areas are really going to be benefiting from some of this warm air nightmare coming up from the U.S. So we'll talk about that later on.
While Saskatoon isn't surrounded by forest, it doesn't make the city immune to wildfires. As CTV's Stacey Hine tells us, some Saskatoon firefighters are among those learning how to respond to wildfires in city centres.
With wildfires devastating communities like Fort McMurray, Jasper, and recently Denair Beach, the Saskatoon Fire Department wants to be prepared. It says with cities expanding into rural and forested areas, there's a significant increase to the risk of wildfires impacting homes, infrastructure, and lives.
So we have had a few incidents where it did get serious. We were able to combat those situations properly as a fire department, but we see that there's a gap there.
Now 16 firefighters from Saskatoon and 4 from Prince Albert are learning how to respond to wildfires in city centres through Wildland Urban Interface Fire Training. The 4-day program includes a hands-on scenario where a fire from the riverbank is approaching homes.
Typically with house fires, we anchor and stay in position. But here, we need to move. We need to be adaptable so that we can reload hose quickly and move on to our next objective.
Crews respond to the fire by evacuating residents.
Move this propane tank inside the garage.
Moving combustibles and putting out hotspots. The training is led by the International Association of Firefighters. It's the first of its kind in Saskatchewan, but urban wildfires are becoming a concern across North America.
We've seen these fires pop up all across the United States and all across Canada, right from the West Coast to the East Coast to in Central. We're getting these types of fires, so it's relevant to every city.
Once training is complete, the firefighters will become instructors and can teach others how to respond to these type of fires. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan NDP is raising concern about the death of a Moose Jaw senior who was waiting for supportive housing. The NDP believes he would have done better had he not been living in his car. Wayne Mantika reports.
The senior had been living in his vehicle parked on a Moose Jaw street. He had been in and out of the local shelter and was waiting for supportive housing. He died after being hospitalized for chronic illness.
Square One was assessing him. They were trying to get him housing, didn't really have the funds or the funding for it, and the man apparently died in hospital after a battle with a chronic illness that was left unmanaged because, again, he was living in his vehicle.
Moose Jaw Square One provides housing for 36 residents. Programming is funded by the federal government. The senior who died was one of about 50 people on a waiting list.
It's never specifically someone's fault when this happens, but we know that supportive housing saves lives. We've seen many people's lives changed because of it, and I am confident that individuals like this gentleman and others in his position can definitely be supported.
125 people were living on Moose Jaw streets at last count. Donnie was one of them until moving into Square One.
And I moved in here in April 1st, and it's a great burden off my mind and shoulders knowing that I have a home to come to.
The provincial government says it appreciates the work of Square One. However, social services does not provide details on specific cases like the death of the Moose Jaw senior. Square One plans to continue funding discussions with the provincial government. It hopes the province will come on board so that more lives can be changed in the community. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Moose Jaw.
3 former members of the Saskatoon Police Service are appealing their dismissals. Earlier this month, SPS announced that 2 constables and a special constable were fired, deemed unsuitable for police service. The 3 were among 5 who had been suspended following an off-duty gathering last September. The other 2 returned to work this spring. The police chief also said the investigation into the officers now includes additional allegations of misconduct and that the Saskatchewan Serious Incident Response Team is investigating an aspect of the incident. Today, a lawyer representing the fired constables who were part of the tactical team and the special constable said they were fired before the investigation into their actions was complete. The lawyer said the officers offered to attend mediation, but that was rejected by SPS. He said the officers will now wait for an appeal hearing, which won't happen until early next year. The Saskatoon Police Service says it respects the appeals process and won't comment until it concludes. As many are discussing how recent rule changes by the Canadian Football League will affect professional football, those involved at the amateur levels are also discussing how they will be affected. Hallie Mandrick has that story.
A series of changes to Canadian Football League rules have a number of other Saskatchewan football organizations debating next steps.
The biggest thing that's going to affect our organization is the moving of the goalposts and the changing of the field. You know, we have an amazing facility right here, and a lot of money was put into it, and it would take a lot of money to change where the goalposts are and really reconfigure the field.
While the Saskatoon minor football field was built to be able to convert to an American field, the changes proposed by the CFL would require some new construction.
This is a multi-use field for us. We use it for flag, and we've actually got quite a good capacity use out of this field. And if we move the goalposts, it might limit even where some of our flag fields can be and stuff like that. So we're really going to have to revisit, how that's going to shape what happens here.
From a teaching standpoint, the idea of moving the goalposts further back in the end zone would have a significant effect on the kicking game, according to Giebert.
We're talking about converts in amateur football now being a 27-yard field goal. Well, that's really difficult at the minor level. So for our KFL kids to be able to kick a convert now, it's almost an impossible task. So, you might actually have a lack of developing those skills.
The Football Canada amateur rules are separate from the CFL rule book, but a number of football organizations, including junior football and university sports, have stated that they're in the process of reviewing how these CFL rule changes will affect amateur organizations.
There's a lot of facilities, thousands of facilities across the country here that are going to need some pretty major changes to it, and that comes at a mega cost, and I don't think the CFL is paying for that. So we'll have to figure out what's in the best interest of the game going forward from an amateur standpoint.
These CFL rule changes won't be in effect until 2027, so amateur organizations still have some time to decide how or if they'll be incorporating them. Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The University of Regina is one step closer to learning the future of its students' union. Damian Smith on a significant meeting tomorrow and what it means going forward.
The University of Regina's Students' Union offices locked up and closed with an important meeting looming.
This sort of thing has followed URSU through my entire university career, unfortunately.
The Students' Union, or URSU, will gather Wednesday afternoon to find a resolution that will dissolve the union. Fourth-year political science student and student senator Matthew McStravick says that he has been hearing stories about URSU's reputation on campus since he became a student in 2022.
URSU seems, I believe, to be thinking that their own lack of popularity, ironically, is going to get them the vote result that they seem to want, the outcome they seem to want from this special general meeting they've called, which is dissolution on their terms.
The meeting follows a series of clashes between the union and university over the past several months. If the special meeting resolution is approved, the board of directors would be authorized to engage a liquidator to oversee the dissolution process with all URSU records and data remaining URSU property, and would release members of the URSU board of directors, executives, management, and staff from liability relating to its operations and dissolution. The Regina Police Service announced in late August that has opened an investigation into URSU and potential misappropriation of funds. And in a response to CTV News ahead of the meeting tomorrow, the university says they encourage students to attend the meeting and that they would continue to monitor the situation. CTV News also reached out to URSU today for comment, but were unable to obtain a response. McStravick says despite the absence of the union on campus this semester, student organizations remain on good terms with the university. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
With all the talk about tariffs driving up costs and squeezing producers, one Saskatchewan processor is keeping crops close to home. Virginia DeClute has more on the farm, turning harvest into food and drink.
Amid tariffs that drive up cost and squeeze producers, many local processors are keeping crops close to home, turning harvest into food and beverages that sustain their local communities.
Yeah, in general, I try to support local. Like, we're a small town business who ask people to support local, so it's only fair if we also support local ourselves.
His in-laws decided to stop farming grains, but they still wanted to produce something.
So they took a small section of the yard, planted some hops, put them up, put up poles and strings, and they grew well. They grew very well.
Now the farm provides fresh hops for the small brewery in Moosomin.
As much as I am able to, I buy Saskatchewan malted barley, and I use the hops grown at the hops farm. So most of the beer we come out of here is almost entirely Saskatchewan ingredients.
About 2 hours north, a Yorkton staple is serving its community with locally sourced, ready-to-eat products.
We go through, 1,000 or 1,500 tons a month, so it requires a lot of different farms. But we try to really grab our flax locally, or as local as we can.
He says TA Foods chooses Canadian ingredients because of its high quality, and the growers are ethically responsible.
Some of the farmers we've worked with, for 15 years, we keep buying their flax every year, every other year, depending how it works into the rotation. And we just trust that what they're bringing in here is of high quality and ungrading.
It seems to be a winning strategy.
So as soon as it runs out in a store, we're getting emails about it. Where's the TA Foods milled flax product? So our local customers love our product.
Over the years, TA Foods has expanded to supply grocery chains in Canada and beyond. While tariffs continue to raise concerns for our crops and producers, this harvest is still a time to celebrate the bounty grown and processed locally. Fruzsina Declut, CTV News, Yorkton.
Still to come, the Prime Minister on efforts to save children from the ongoing attack on Ukraine. Also, who's taking aim at a gun buyback program being tested in one Canadian province. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. The federal government has announced plans for its gun buyback program, starting with a 6-week pilot project in Nova Scotia before opening up nationwide eligibility later this fall. As CTV's Rachel Aiello explains, the Liberals say this will allow them to test the process, but today it was the minister responsible who was tested.
Have you not failed at the task of getting this moving faster?
Absolutely not.
The public safety minister faced tough questions today as he unveiled the next phase of the federal firearm buyback.
The opening of the program to individual owners.
A program that he questioned the efficacy and enforceability of in audio leaked just yesterday.
I have absolute confidence in this program.
Then why did you say what you said? After a Cape Breton test run, owners nationwide of the more than 2,000 makes and models of firearms that the Liberals have outlawed will be contacted with instructions on how to participate. Those seeking compensation will either be able to turn their firearms over to local police after scheduling a time online, or keep them after proving they've been deactivated by a licensed gunsmith. The public safety minister said the context of his recorded comments were that he wanted the program implemented faster. But now, years after the buyback was first promised, firearms owners have until October 2026 to comply. And critics are calling for Gary Anandasangari's resignation.
On Monday, a minister says that his program won't work. On Tuesday, he says he's going ahead with the program.
The minister also faced calls today from gun control groups to expand the ban, saying unless additional semi-automatics are added, Canada's buyback program will be a waste of the more than $700 million already allocated. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Prime Minister Mark Carney and Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky highlighted the abduction of children by Russian forces at the United Nations General Assembly today. And while the return must be central to future peace negotiations, but it was their spouses who shone the spotlight on this war crime. CTV's Judy Trin reports from New York.
At the United Nations, the Prime Minister and President Volodymyr Zelensky called for the return of thousands of Ukrainian children taken by Russia.
Putin has stolen
Ukrainian children.
Russia first abducted them and deported them.
Together with our allies. The most emotional pleas came from their wives. Diana Fox Carney making her first international speech alongside her husband.
As a mother, I simply cannot fathom the horror. What these children have endured is more than unjust. It is inhumane.
Their identities are changed, their ties severed, their hopes destroyed.
Canada said it's investing in AI technology to help find the Ukrainian children. Only about 1,600 children have been returned to their families. In his address to the General Assembly, President Donald Trump spoke of his frustrations with the continuing war.
It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad.
Earlier this summer, during a meeting with Vladimir Putin, Trump hand-delivered a letter from the First Lady calling for the return of the children. Her efforts were acknowledged by Mark Carney in front of European leaders.
We welcome the recent powerful appeal to President Putin by the First Lady of the United States to consider the plight of children in ending this war.
This is an area of common ground between Carney and Trump at a moment when Canada is breaking with the U.S. in recognizing the state of Palestine. Judy Trin, CTV News, New York.
A guilty verdict today for the man accused of attempting to assassinate Donald Trump at a Florida golf course last year. Ryan Routh will be sentenced on December 18th. He faces life in prison. A Secret Service agent testified he saw Routh before Trump came into view and aimed his rifle at the agent, who opened fire, causing him to drop his weapon and flee without firing a shot. Today, Routh tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen shortly after being found guilty of all counts. Canadian privacy authorities say TikTok's efforts to block children and protect their personal information are inadequate.
TikTok collects vast amounts of personal information about its users, including children. This data is being used to target the content and ads that users see, which can have harmful impacts, particularly on youth.
A joint investigation by federal and provincial officials found hundreds of thousands of Canadian children have accessed TikTok annually, and that TikTok has been collecting and using their personal information, despite the company saying its video sharing platform is not intended for people under the age of 13. TikTok has agreed to strengthen its communication on privacy measures and enhance methods to prevent underage access. Governments around the world that have been scrutinizing TikTok because of concerns China could use the app to harvest users' data and advance its own interests. The first fully commercial space launch in Canadian history has been delayed. Nord Space was preparing for liftoff of its 5-meter-long rocket near St. Lawrence, Newfoundland today. But just after 11:30, flames and black smoke were seen near the rocket. The Ontario-based company says it is working to resolve the issue on the launch pad, and the mission has been postponed likely until Thursday. Canada does not have the ability to launch satellites into orbit, but there are several companies vying to make that happen. Meanwhile, NASA says the flight taking a Canadian and 3 other astronauts around the moon is back on track for launch next April and could potentially be moved up to February. London, Ontario's Jeremy Hansen is among the crew for Artemis 2, which should last about 10 days. It's part of a mission that will return humans to the lunar surface for the first time in more than 50 years.
Music lovers, my name is Layla Curvis, and on behalf of the Saskatoon Symphony Orchestra, I would warmly like to invite you to come and see our production of Puccini's operatic masterpiece, Tosca, live in concert. This opera has everything. It has beautiful music, it has drama, it has passion, it has lust, it has horror. It might even have a little bit of blood, but you'll have to check us out on Saturday, September 27th at TCU Place to find out for yourself. We really hope to see you there. And meanwhile, while you're going to be out painting the town red, I wonder, what's the weather forecast going to be?
Well, the weather forecast is going to be pretty pretty darn nice. Once again, warmer temperatures than seasonal. And let's take a look at the specifics as we head towards Saturday. Of course, 7:30 is curtain for Tosca at TCU Place. 23 degrees for a daytime high. So by the time we get to 7:30, it'll probably be in the area of 18, maybe 17 degrees. But mainly cloudy conditions, and more information on Tosca, SaskatoonSymphony.org. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on with our almanac, or our current temperatures rather. First, 26 degrees in Saskatoon. The wind's backed off a little bit, a bit breezy. Not quite as windy in Prince Albert and the Battlefords. Prince Albert, 24 degrees right now, 25 in the Battlefords. And now it's time for the almanac. 27.5. You'll see the reason for the decimal a little later on. So 16 degrees is typical for this time of year. The record, well, we didn't break it. 32 degrees from 2009. The record cold temperature, very cold, -6 from 1995. And the sun is going to go down, just 3 minutes after 7.
Coming up, rising from the ashes, a Saskatchewan photographer captures memorable moments in the backdrop of tragedy.
This week in sports, we're talking hockey and football. Wednesday on Your Morning, we are live with the Saskatoon Hilltops, but we're also on the ice talking to the Regina Pats.
Okay, well, let's take a look at what's going on right now. And the big blue sky that we had yesterday, it's still there. No clouds of any consequence out there. And we're not really dealing with a lot of precipitation, or potential for precipitation, as we head into tonight and tomorrow. That's a little different story in northern areas. We're going to bring up the satellite and radar shot here, and that'll give us a little bit of an indication. Starting to see some of that moisture move from British Columbia through Alberta into northern Saskatchewan. So some places may get a little something, but central and southern parts of Saskatchewan, it doesn't look like that's going to be an issue at all. I'm going to step out of the way here and we'll recap our temperatures. 26 in Saskatoon, 24 in Prince Albert, and 25 in the Battlefords. Our hot spot, well, it was a tie. Rosetown and Outlook. Yeah, remember what I said about the decimal point? Yes. Rosetown and Outlook were 0.3 degrees hotter than Saskatoon. So 27.8 is your hot temperature in the province today. -1 the cold temperature, again, for a second day in a row in Prince Albert. 24 degrees right now in Lloydminster and Moose Jaw. 25 in Swift Current. 22 in Estevan and Yorkton, 23 in the Queen City. Into central parts of the province, temperatures range from 17 degrees in Hudson Bay up to 27, and that is in Rosetown. So a 10-degree range is pretty significant. At Meadow Lake at 21, 23 in Nipawin, 26 in Kindersley, 22 in Wynyard. Up north, temperatures in the high teens, low 20s, so warmer than seasonal conditions for northern Saskatchewan as well. Look at that, 23 degrees in La Ronge. And down south, temperatures are all in the 20s on this part of our map. It's as warm as 26 degrees in Outlook, and the coolest, isn't that cool at all, 22 degrees in a number of locations. So pretty warm conditions right across the province. So here's the futurecast. As you can see, with the computer modeling indicating, yes, that rain is going to slide through parts of northern Saskatchewan in the next 24 hours, and the wind is going to get pick up around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, but for many locations it will start to back off in the early part of the afternoon, so it won't be a complete 24-hour wind festival. Festival of Wind. We got ourselves a mix of sky conditions with a chance of showers in the Buffalo Narrows area tomorrow, but temperatures in the teens for northern Saskatchewan. A little warmer in the west central part of the province. 16 for Meadow Lake, 19 for Spiritwood, but it jumps up to 23 in Kindersley, 26 for Rosetown. And in the southwestern part of the province, 28 degrees in both Maple Creek and Outlook for daytime highs. 24 for Leader, 29 for Swift Current. Quite warm in the southeast. Look at that. 31 degrees for Regina and Moose Jaw, 29 for Yorkton and Estevan. And mainly sunny skies for Melfort, 27, sunny and 29 in Watchers, 28 in Humboldt and Hudson Bay. Hudson Bay with a bit more in the way of cloud cover. The Battleford's dropping down to 6 degrees tonight, 21 degrees tomorrow, but a windy day in store. And then on Thursday, 20 degrees, 18 on Friday, but the weekend's looking good, 21 on Saturday, Sunday, and 22, and staying sort of in that same ballpark for Monday and Tuesday. For Prince Albert area, 5 degrees overnight. Slight risk of frost because it's 5 degrees. 23 23 degrees tomorrow with windy conditions, and then the 7-day outlook, 19 on Thursday and Friday, 22 on Saturday and Sunday, 21 on Monday and Tuesday, so above seasonal. 7 degrees with clear skies, a little less windy in the overnight period for Saskatoon. 27 tomorrow, so pretty much the same situation as today, but a bit on the breezier side. 21 degrees on Thursday, 19 on Friday, but look at that, into the low to mid-20s for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, so not bad at all. Canadian singer Sarah McLachlan is one of the guests announced for Jimmy Kimmel's first show back after being taken off the air last week. The comedian's show was pulled indefinitely over comments he made following the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The move sparked a debate over free speech in the United States, and while ABC Disney has allowed the show to resume, it may not be seen in many markets across America because both Nexstar and Sinclair, which own nearly a quarter of all ABC affiliates, say they will continue to preempt the show. Man, piano in the field, that's dangerous. That's not good for the piano, I don't think. Chantal Kreviatsik is among the musicians being inducted into the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame. Tom Cochrane, Katie Lang, and Murray McLaughlin are also being honored. The ceremony takes place in Toronto on October 17th. And singer Harry Styles let his feet do the crooning on Sunday running in the Berlin Marathon. The 31-year-old Styles ran alongside some 55,000 athletes taking part in the race, reportedly using the name Stead Sarandos. Now, I don't know if he's making fun of or paying tribute to the top dog at Netflix. In any case, the singer completed the 42-kilometer run in just under 3 hours. Now, the winning runner from Kenya clocked in at just over 2 hours and 2 minutes.
He didn't do bad at all.
I think that's impressive. Look, completing a marathon in and of itself is impressive, so under 3 hours, pretty good.
Absolutely. All right, we were talking about the forecast just a few minutes ago. The weekend should be a nice one for an annual walk supporting local families.
It's looking very good. We are once again happy to be in the company of Lakin from Empty Arms PLS because their annual walk is coming out. It is the No Foot Too Small Memorial Walk. And of course, Empty Arms is such an important part of that. And you started this walk on an annual basis. So I say annual basis. How many years has this been happening?
This is our 11th annual walk.
Okay, so it's become a tradition here in Saskatoon. For people who aren't familiar with Empty Arms, what is it?
So we're a nonprofit organization serving the vast majority of Saskatchewan. We support families during the unimaginable heartache of losing a baby or young child. We walk alongside them.
You walk alongside them, you provide support groups, and it takes money to do that. And so this walk not only raises awareness, but it does raise money for the organization.
Yes, very much needed funds as we sadly are busier than ever. And so our walk on Saturday will help us be able to continue to serve families.
So what time do things get underway?
11 o'clock a.m. is when it kicks off. Games and all the events for kids. We're going to have Warren the Balloon Guy. That all starts at 10:30.
So even if you're not walking, can you come and participate and support those who are?
Absolutely. We're open to everybody. There's stuff to see and do, information to share, and just to be able to support those means everything to our families.
So, Lakin, if people want more information, where can they go?
They can head over to our social media accounts, or they can head to our website, which is emptyarmspls.com. We're taking registrations all week long, and if you miss out on doing that online, we're taking registrations in person here at the event.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day. What do you have?
Well, we got big three as usual. Let's take a look at this first one, and I love it. Ruth Black sends us this, and all she says is, beautiful morning. And it is a beautiful morning, but it could easily be the poster for a Stephen King movie or one of his book covers, because it's lovely, but under the right circumstances, some might think it's kind of eerie. There you go. But a lovely shot nonetheless. So thank you, Ruth. This next one comes to us from Mindy. And harvest at sunset September 21st in the RM of Grand Bend. As my parents and I took a short break for a tailgate supper in the field, I captured this photo of our neighbors moving equipment to start their next quarter. Hope everyone stays safe during harvest. Remember to thank a farmer. And that's a wonderful sentiment. That's a terrific picture. So thank you, Mindy. And finally, from Scott Smith, ta-da, he says, what kind of spider is this? Well, I'm not an entomologist, so I can't say, but it's kind of creepy looking. So, you know, it's a Spiderus creepitorius, Anacridid creepitorius. Sure, that's what it is. Now, so one of the experts out there in our viewing audience will no doubt tell us what kind of spider that is. But if you'd like to send us an image of something other than a spider or something, another sunset or something being harvested, well, please send it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca.
Still to come on CTV News, the picture's worth so much more than 1,000 words. A Saskatchewan photographer captures triumph over tragedy following this year's wildfire season.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Saskatchewan, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
This year's wildfire season has been devastating. Homes and businesses lost and people left to rebuild. A Saskatchewan photographer who knows the loss firsthand has found a way to mark some memorable moments. As Danton Unger reports, through her efforts, some Manitoba graduates got to take part in a once-in-a-lifetime photo shoot.
A moment of calm celebration against a backdrop of tragedy.
It was my very last photo shoot of obviously the season.
Photographer Brandy Bloxham captured these grad photos just outside Flin Flon in late May with a wall of smoke and flame raging in the background.
It was just really ironic that these kids are uncertain about their future, and then here we are, the whole town, same thing, right?
It's very surreal feeling to look at them.
Spiraling so uncontrolled. It's such a short amount of time.
Graduates Lexi Hines and Patrick Benoit say at the time they didn't think much of the fire, which was still relatively small.
It's so surreal to think that that tiny little fire that we thought, oh, it'd be really cool, make a really good once-in-a-lifetime opportunity photo background, it contributed to so many losses in the area.
Less than 24 hours later, the flames billowed out of control.
So I was just sitting there on the couch, and then my dad runs into the house. We're being evacuated, and I'm just confused, not ready for it.
Thousands were forced to flee their homes for nearly a month as the blaze became the largest in the province, growing 7 times the size of Winnipeg. And for many on the Saskatchewan side of the border, including Bloxham, when they returned, all that was left was ash.
I'm from Denair Beach, so I lost my home. And the whole community, over 200 homes have been taken.
Which is why she says it took months for her to gather the strength to edit these photos. Yet looking at them now, as the community comes together with plans to rebuild, Bloxham says she sees something new: resilience.
The hope and the beauty, it's something beautiful in it. I don't know. I can't really explain it.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
When we come back, a special honor for Saskatchewan First Nation, years in the making. And later, quite the catch, a record-setting situation in honor of a baseball legend.
Greetings, everyone. Earlier this month, Pipot First Nation held a special celebration honoring 150 years of being a part of Treaty 4 territory. Thanks to a special collaboration with the Museum of Manitoba, Nation members got the opportunity to see and touch items once used by the chief in which the nation is named after.
On September 9th, 1875, Chief Pye Pot signed onto Treaty 4 territory. 150 years later, the descendants of his nation are celebrating the signing as well as his legacy by repatriating items once used by the founding chief.
It's a very overwhelming, surreal feeling. It's, you know, just to like look at the valley. What our eyes see is what our founding chief seen back in the 1800s, you know, the meeting and having those items. It's unexplainable.
For decades, the items of Chief Pye Pot were stored at the Manitoba Museum. The process to get them back to the nation began earlier this year. In total, 19 items were repatriated, the largest repatriation to date for the Manitoba Museum.
It is a proud moment for museums to really take stock of what we're doing here and to really look at what speaks to our collections and what belongings really do rightfully need to go home. So I think having some transparency around that too, and just having these discussions where we talk about repatriation are really important.
The search and repatriation were led from within Pye Pot First Nation. Murray Ironchild is an elder from the nation who supported the team during the process. He hopes other nations follow suit.
You do it on your own, you know, the group that's there, they're educating themselves, you know, so that them too, when they're asked like this, that they have a better understanding and, you know, and speak about these things in a truthful way.
There are plans of building a heritage center where the items will be put on display, inspiring nation members for many years to come.
We want generations after us to see the work that we did and what we put in place for them to remember and not to lose. The most important thing is the Ospawagan that our founding chief left us that are going to carry us for hundreds of years.
But the work is not done. The nation's research team is now focusing on repatriating other Pye Pot items at museums in Saskatchewan and abroad.
If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
All right, now let's take a look at our rural forecast. And as you can see, warm temperatures again. Now, some places are into the teens, but that's pretty darn close. In fact, I think it's a 1 degree warmer than seasonal for Meadow Lake, and even just a slightly higher temperature for Lloydminster and Spiritwood. But many other places into the 20s, and many places into the high 20s, and that includes Hudson Bay at 28, Outlook 29 for Watrous and Wynyard. So some warm temperatures out there, and warm temperatures extend into many parts, well, just about all of the Southland. Look at that. A bunch of places at 30 degrees, some really roasty, toasty temperatures. Look at that. We got ourselves 31 degrees in Lumsden and Pilot Butte. And let's take a look and see what's going on in Radville. Well, look at that. 28 degrees under sunny skies. Winds out of the southwest, 30, gusting to 50. So it's going to be a bit breezy in Radville tomorrow. And Radville is one of the many communities where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Coming up, how one record in the game of ball was tossed out. Then how one person in Saskatchewan has a lot of luck.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Get comfortable and settle in with these top shows all right here tonight on CTV. Well, it was a record-setting game of catch. 2,358 people, including parents, children, and former major leaguers, took part in a 5-minute-long game of catch. The event was called Yogi's Big Catch, and it was held as part of the year-long celebration for what would have been legendary Yankees catcher Yogi Berra's 100th birthday. Berra died in 2015. His family was on hand as the record for largest game of catch was officially broken. Organizers said there were only 2 rules for participants: no rolling the ball, and you could not look at your phones. Good. They said the whole point was for people to come together and have fun, and it looks like they did.
Yeah.
So
he was one of the great characters of baseball and a super catcher, you know, terrific catcher. But
a nice celebration in his honor.
For sure.
All right, well, we are expected to meet Saskatchewan's newest millionaire tomorrow. That's when Sask Lotteries will announce the winner of the September 6th $5 million Lotto 649 draw. No details about the winner or where the ticket was purchased have been revealed, but a news conference with the winner is being held in Saskatoon tomorrow, so we'll find out all the details. Are you here tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm here. Believe me, I'm not at a news conference where everybody's handing over a giant novelty check. Yeah.
If you weren't, you'd share, though, right?
Yes, I would.
Well, we got to call all our friends and family and see what they're doing tomorrow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or just wait.
Exactly. All right, let's take a look at our temperatures for tomorrow. We can let you know that tomorrow at 9 a.m., 14 degrees, but the wind starts to pick up around 9 a.m. and will stay windy until about 1 o'clock. But still, look at these temperatures. 21 degrees at noon, mid-afternoon about 27 degrees. By 5 o'clock, it drops down to 26, and the wind also backs off around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's not going to be an all-day windy affair.
True, but with those temperatures, we'll take it.
I think so. Pretty nice.
Absolutely.
It's a summer wind. It came blowing in. Everybody, jump in.
It's time to go. Thanks for watching.